Hey, how's it going on? My name is Rick Ramirez, also known as Rick's Two Cents. Thank you for joining Shop Talk Live. Live questions and answers for lasers, CNCs, 3D printers, you name it. Along with me today is my fellow co-host Steve from Steve Makes Everything.
Hi, all.
Roger from Roger Shop.
Howdy, howdy.
And Andy from
I got
Andy
a guest today, too.
What's up, everyone?
Looks like we got quite a few people ready in the live, and our loyal fan till death, Clayton, aloha from Hawaii. Thanks everyone. Smash that like button.
He's just rubbing that in. The weather's nicer there. It's like...
Very cool. You know, Andy, I caught one of your shorts, and a twist that I kind of took from it was that builds can be confident builders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that it's not always necessarily is the market ready for you, or do you have the market? It's do you have the confidence to stand on the ledge to do it, right? And I think that you're seeing more and more success stories with these trade shows. And my own opinion has changed on trade shows, because I've always seen trade shows as kind of like craft fairs, right? But I think that they're changing, and it's a different level of availability. And I'm not against, I know who's doing the crafting, but I'm just saying it's not my thing. It's not my scene, right? And I would go to them just to look and see other people's ideas and cool things. And I appreciate it, you know, the hard work that they put into it, but just not my thing. But I'm starting to see more woodworkers, and I think I'm gonna give it a shot. But I've also seen a lot of these Facebook woodworking groups, is they're honest. They show this whole booth, and they're like, this bomb, this succeed. You know what I mean? So it's like no shame in your game, man. If it bombed, because you see so many people like, you know, promoting, build this little wooden lantern with 4 posts, and you're gonna send 1 million of them. Like, no, you're not. But every influencer, woodworkers, tell people to buy them, and then they build like 50 of them, and they don't sell. You know, it's like, I guess if you're testing the market, it's okay to have a little bit of everything just to kind of see, because, you know, even if, like, let's just say in your town you sell a lot of something and you go out of town, not even say out of state, just out of town, like you could have a different total, you know.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, selling things isn't easy. It's just not. There's so many variables. And the CNC is as steep as like the CNC software, like the learning curve can be, you know, for someone that has zero experience.
Right.
Like, unless you get lucky, which is possible, selling is 10 times harder. Like, it's just, unless you're Roger. I was going to say this last week. I think Roger has like the green thumb to like selling. You know how like garden, like some people just can't grow things for the life of them.
Well, we do have 4 greenhouses, so.
Roger's over there with his green thumb and has an accidental business, which does happen. But you know, I think it comes back to you have to, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you don't put your stuff out there, you have zero chance. So
I'll ask you if you know who said that quote.
Well, actually, so where I heard it from was my wife's grandmother said it to my wife in high school when she was playing basketball.
Wow.
When she was trying to date you, what'd you say?
My grandma
was your wife's grandmother?
Yeah.
Was she like a hockey player too? Because it was actually Wayne Gretzky. Yeah, there you go, right there in the chat.
Well, we're from Michigan, so
you should know all about hockey.
I grew up on the east, or I grew up on the west side of the state. My wife grew up on the east side of the state. Like, she used to go to Canada on field trips.
Well, you know, they play hockey in the U.S. too, right? Right down to Florida, of all places.
Yeah, like a whole 6 people.
I've heard that they do, but in Michigan, obviously, the closer you are to Canada, the bigger the hockey is. Yeah.
They've got a local hockey team here. It's not, you know, NHL, but it's, you know, it draws a pretty good crowd.
We do not play hockey in Kentucky.
Well, yeah.
I played hockey when I lived in Canada. I remember when I went to 2nd grade, they were like, "Did you bring your skates?" And I was like, "Skates? What are you talking about?" They're like, "Yeah, there's an ice ring outside. During the recess, we ice skate outside." So I told my mom, "I need ice skates." And I came back to Chicago, I had ice skates, and I could skate actually really good. I was like, "You guys want to go ice skating?" They're like, "What are you, gay? What do you mean go ice skating?" I'm like, not like figurine, like, you know, like
Not that
man,
there's
like,
anything wrong with that.
you know, no, they
Hey, that's talent.
because no, what I'm saying is that in the Chicagoland area, it's probably very far few in between. I mean, there's no schools that do it. If you're gonna be in a league, you'd have to pay, right?
Yeah.
So in growing up in a neighborhood, no one's gonna ice skate. And when they sing ice skate, they automatically assume like you're doing ballerina type moves. You know what I mean? Not like ice skate. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I never played hockey, but I had a few friends that ended up playing semi-pro.
Nice.
Yeah, so I see people checking in where you're from. Let us know. There's definitely a decent amount of people already in the live. Please do let us know where you're joining us from. And of course, this is a live question and answered video. So if you have any questions, feel free to let us know.
And I'll throw something else out there to everybody for this week. If you did something this week and you were working on a project and you really screwed it up, made a mistake, put it out there, because I'm going to tell you what I did today. I set up a sign, all the cut on CNC, and when I did the tool path, I set all the letters to cut on the outside of the lines. Well, my bit was an 1/8 inch end mill and my letters were an 1/8 inch apart. So guess how that turned out?
Let's see it.
You couldn't find a way to make that a happy accident?
Oh no, not that one. That's out on the burn pile.
I showed. Well, Andy probably hasn't seen that. I showed you my charcuterie board that had the happy accident with the handles.
I don't think Andy saw that.
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, that was quite.
Because I did exactly the same thing, but I stewed about it for a while. I mean, it's only a charcuterie board, so if I had to throw it away, it wasn't the end of the world. But it was a nice board, and I didn't want to do it.
So I don't normally count my blessings for they happen, right? Don't count the eggs before they hatch. But I'm pretty confident it's going to happen. I had a company reach out to me. They want to send me one of those welder/cleaner lasers. You guys seen those? Yeah,
these Watsan guys have those too.
And a 4x8 laser cutter. So that'd be pretty cool.
So now you're going to have to cut a bigger hole in your wall. All right, I'm going to share my screen.
No, I made sure that I talked about the dimensions and they'd fit in the door. I don't have a standard door. I have a commercial door now, but yeah, that's another story in itself.
This one will be better for Andy, I guess. So I did exactly the same thing. Let's get to just this thing. I did exactly the same thing Roger did with these handles, and they were so big, and I thought, what the hell am I going to do? And I stewed about it probably for about 3 days before I thought, wait a minute, I have a CNC. I know exactly how big that hole is. I can just make a thing for the outside, and pressed it in. And I make all the charcuterie boards that way now.
Nice.
So sometimes you screw up and you learn a thing or two.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with someone today about this and about that. It's like, I think a lot of people are afraid of wasting time or wasting money or, but if you learn from it, like that wasn't, if you would have just threw that on the burn pile, you'd be like, yeah, it's probably a waste of time, waste of material. Right. But, and sometimes that's what you have to do, but
I've done that.
Wall of shame.
But like that was, yeah. Now you have something that you developed on accident, which is awesome. So it's not a waste of time.
Now that I've shown everybody with a CNC, they're all going to start punching these handles into things. But
so I made fun myself.
It just makes it look a little dressier, right? Like, this one was cool. Actually for a couple for a wedding present, and they sent me a thank you message. for
Nice.
someone else giving them this. So that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Illinois. Where are you from in Illinois? Roger and I are in Illinois. So I was made fun of stuff being kind of crafty, but we made this.
That's so crafty.
Yeah,
So-
man.
My mother-in-law passed away of cancer. So
Well, there you
actually,
go.
my son made this for my wife.
Oh, cool.
And when I was, so this is the, I don't know if you guys ever seen this unicorn spit. It's a
I
stain.
have. I've never used it, but I've seen it.
Crazy colors. I mean, like crazy colors. You couldn't get. They say it's not your grandpa's stain, right? So what's funny is that. So I said, okay, we posted it. Now people want them. We're gonna. What I made the jack-o'-lanterns. This is gonna be the front, so it's gonna be a lantern, not a jack-o'-lantern.
That's
right?
really cool. Yep.
And
Yeah.
so then, the reason I'm mentioning this is because it was meant to be a gift for my wife. I didn't even think about it. If you Google ribbons, there's like 250 ribbons. I mean, like yellow means this, green means that. You know, all of a sudden I start, can you make it in blue? I'm like, what the heck is blue? Can you make it in purple? Can you make it in green? Can you make it in orange? And now I have all these orders. So it was just a gift from my wife. And here my son is, right? I'm telling him to go around this edge because he filled that black in. And I'm telling him to go this way. And instead he's pushing it down to the lip and pushing down. He's 4, right? And I'm giving him coaching advice and I'm trying to record him. And he's like, stop recording me. You're making me nervous. And guess what? When I tried to do this myself, this is the one he did. So I'm not taking credit. I think his looks better. I'm telling him what to do. And I'm like, holy shit, this is not easy. but yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens. Like I it's so important that you cannot think your way like into success. Like it's part of it. Don't get me wrong, but it takes action, right? Like it takes doing something, and you know, because you could have thought about like, could you have just thought up like that'd be really cool to make to make this, and I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell these different ribbons to different people, and it probably wouldn't have worked if you would have went that route.
Right. Yeah. If it was intentional, probably not. Right. But I guess I don't know. I even said like, what's purple? I literally went online, Googled like ribbon colors, and that's when they all came up. You know, there's like a common 30, but there's hundreds. So
yeah, all those any like cause, right, will have a
Right.
ribbon of some sort.
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So
So the question: computer numeric control. It's a fancy way of saying computer controlled router,
I was
but
going
it
to
could
say
be other things. Like a
I was gonna
laser is
say,
an effective computer controlled
do the
machine.
beginner version.
What's that?
I was going to say the beginner version, not the Webster's
Well,
Dictionary version.
I'll post it in the chat here too, because I know there's people watching on Facebook who can't see.
Andy,
the
do you want to explain what is an actual CNC?
Yeah, picture a router, a hand router, and then picture that that's not controlled by your hands, but it's controlled by a computer program.
Isn't that just what I said?
It is what you said.
Right, and the whole idea is that you're taking the inaccuracies of being human and doing something and doing it mechanically controlled so it's perfect. Right.
And you can still be inaccurate.
I used to have a job as a chief technology officer, which basically meant I spent my whole day translating from English to nerd speak and vice versa.
Yeah.
Oh, look who's in the building. Roto Boss, Rotary Attachments.
The boss is in the house.
Yeah, I was
Nice.
just actually talking to him right before we went live. So
Sweet.
very cool. Very cool.
Welcome.
It's nice that we're getting some manufacturers. Now I need a manufacturer who makes bandsaws, because I got to buy myself a bandsaw, and I'm poor.
Are you really serious?
Yeah,
You
I
want
don't
one?
have a bandsaw.
I thought we had this conversation when Daniel got one. That
Yeah,
nobody
Daniel
thought it
got a
was really
bandsaw.
I thought everything
I
was kind of useless.
I have a little workbench top one that I kind of get by with. I
Yeah,
wish I
I
had a
want like
bigger one, but I need
I
space.
want like a 14-inch one, or maybe bigger, 15 maybe.
So what do you want to do with I mean,
there's a couple of times when I've had to resaw stuff and
Mm.
instead I just plane it all off into wood chips, and it's not a very cost effective way of doing it.
Yeah, it's not good on your ears either.
I
No.
have the Grizzly 14-inch. It's the 555. And for resawing, it's good for everything. It's a little underpowered for resawing. And it doesn't, and it like small stuff, it's fine, but
it's on a 110 volt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to get a 220 volt.
Just get a 480.
It's in my budget for 2025. A bandsaw, and I want to get a new table saw. I'm looking at a saw stop or something. Well, probably a saw stop.
That's got to be my next move, is changing my table saw to a saw stop.
Yeah, I was talking to the saw stop rep here, and I was complaining a bit about the cost, and his response was, "Well, once you cut your finger off, you'd pay $20,000 for this saw."
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth like 50. You know, if you claim it on the insurance.
Well, I get a lot of comments from viewers that, hey, you know, that's dangerous. You're using a table saw, it doesn't have a guard on it, doesn't have a splitter on it. And I says, I bought this table saw new in 1975. There was no such thing. And I still have all my fingers.
Yeah.
I
So I know
saw
how to use it, but
I saw a picture of a guy driving a truck, a pickup, and his left hand was all bandaged up, and he had a saw stop in the back, and someone took a picture and said, "You can't make this shit up." Like, he literally cut his hand and he bought it. Like, you can't make this shit up. This is not AI generated. This is legit down the highway.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I've had, I won't call them close calls, but I've had things happen, and I thought, man, if my finger was like a quarter of an inch to the right, this probably would have at least done some damage, if not cut my finger off. But
all right, so I've done this.
yeah, you mentioned this.
Yeah, I have had a table saw accident, and I went and bought a saw stop afterwards.
Really?
And, yeah. 20. He was 3 years. It was right before my son was. It was right before my first son was born. So 3 years ago now. 3 years ago now. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see. My fingers are kind of crooked, but I still have them. I cut these two fingers, and I basically cut them half off, and I got into the bone, and it was on a rigid Home Depot table saw, and I was resawing some pine, not resawing. I was making some face frames for some plywood, basically edge banding. There we go. That's what I was looking for. I was making edge banding for some built-in shelves. I think I told this story, and just repetitive cuts. And I reached for a cutoff, and I literally stuck my hand in a table saw blade, and I have all 10 digits to tell about it. So I was extremely lucky, but 22 stitches later and physical therapy, and they're still numb on this side where I cut them. Like, I can't feel that because I cut the nerve. So it's cheaper to buy a saw stop first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want a bigger saw too. I just have like a DeWalt shop or a construction site kind of
That's
saw.
what I have.
Yeah.
And it works fine. Like, the thing is, it works really well for what it is, but it's just, there's times when I want to cut like a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and I can't do that on that thing.
That's why I did this. I built this table.
Yeah, you built a box for it. Table box.
I built it's a full sheet of plywood. Right after it. The table's a full sheet of plywood.
Yeah.
Right on the other side of my table, so that I can cut full sheets by myself.
Nice.
here's what I've got. Of course, Rick will like this, and I got my bug eyes on. But
Nice.
that laser is sitting on top. That is my table saw, and I can easily handle 4x8 sheets of plywood on there. Plus, I have router ticker built into it. I have dust collection built into it. Storage drawers built into it. The whole thing weighs well over 1,000 pounds, and it's 3 horsepower. I got a Vega fence on it, So one of these days here, yeah, I'll be selling that one and getting a saw stop. That's in my next year's plan.
So yeah. So I was gonna say, if it weighs over 1,000 pounds, you did buy it in 1975.
So saw
yeah,
stop, if
probably
you're watching.
anything that's plastic today was probably cast iron back in those days.
Oh yeah, the top's cast iron, the wings are cast iron. Of course, that's a double top, double 3/4 inch thick MDF top on it, and then pretty much everything else on it's made out of oak.
Yeah, the good thing about that saw in particular is it's stable.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You know, with that is one of the major differences. Like when you go from let's just say a consumer big box store table saw to a more professional table saw, is the stability. And it'll blow you away. Like, how did I ever cut on that other thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of the big things you'll notice too.
I do have one of the DeWalt job site saws that you can fold out, runs around on wheels, and it does okay for remote things. But when I'm doing things in the shop, especially when we build candy boards, I rip lumber. I mean, just tons of it.
Yeah.
And I need the power for it. That saw has been upgraded to 3 horse. This runs on 240 volt. So when I do get a saw stop, it's going to be at least a 3 horse model, and it'll be a cabinet saw.
Nice.
Yeah,
And I'll get the extensions, and I'll put a router table on it.
Nice.
I'm actually going to
spend a
build a
little bit.
router table in the interim, because I also need one of those right now. I have a
I
project.
don't understand why router table is so expensive. Like, there's nothing really to them, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm going to build
so
one.
damn expensive.
I have the
They are
same one.
expensive.
Yeah, I have the same one.
That's the Craig one.
Yeah, and then I have the kit for the lift. You know, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
So damn expensive.
Anyway,
No
we have another YouTube star on the channel here.
so
She's
Sawdust
recommending
is gonna-
our.
Yeah, I was trying to get to her comments. She said, "Steve, I have a Harvey C14 bandsaw, powerful and works fantastic, 220 volts. By the way, she's actually going to be joining us live in the upcoming weeks. So she actually was jumping in the chat, but her daughter's feeling a little sick, so she's not prepared to be on camera today."
Cool.
Awesome. Welcome.
I've watched many of her videos.
Yeah.
I had
recently
mentioned her before, and I said I think she's the inlay queen. I'm not saying she doesn't have other skill sets, but her inlays are pretty badass.
Yeah, I recently came across one of her videos. I forgot what I was looking up.
Rotoboss said I have had kickbacks in the chest a few times. Thankfully, they were big pieces, and didn't do much. It's hurt like hell. That's about the only thing I've had on a table saw is kickbacks.
Yeah, when I'm cutting, so when I'm doing a chest piece, I'll start with a like a 2-inch square ingot basically, and then I 45 off the corners. And those little corners, when they're cut off, they're like bullets coming off the back of the saw.
Yeah.
So I'm always over on the side.
Yeah, I do the same thing. You know what I keep saying I'm going to build and I never have is a table saw sled. They're not very
I have one of
good.
those. I want to build a new one though, which is one of the reasons I need a router table, because I want to use the micro jig clamps and stuff.
Yeah. People get pretty geeky and pretty badass and stuff. Like when I built that Christmas tree, I showed it last year. I built a Christmas tree that's like an 8-inch base that goes to a 1-inch base. When I took a 1-inch square and did 45 cuts all the way around, it's like I heard that song playing in the background. I'm gonna do some sketchy shit. You know what I mean?
My table saw, the side I stand on right behind me is the garage door, and you get these bullets coming off and they just bang against the door, and there's little marks on it's an insulated door, so there's little marks on the inside where these little rods are coming off at 100 miles an hour.
Well, I always do stand to the left of the blade. I've had things shoot out of there before, so I'm
me
just
too.
out of habit. I developed that years and years ago. Stand to the left.
Yeah. That's one thing I'll say is the habits that you fall into are important.
Yep.
With the table saw. It's easy to fall into bad habits, and when I had my mistake, it wasn't like I didn't consciously decide to stick my fingers in the table saw blade. Like no one does that.
Right.
And it was funny because I had my my push block in my right hand.
And you reach with your left?
And I reach with my left.
Yeah.
Well, you're not left-handed, are you?
No, I'm not.
The
So
other thing
at
is,
least
I don't
you can still
understand.
sign checks.
Yeah, I don't understand why people have their blades way up. Look, my blade is
Oh,
like
that
barely
saved
enough
me.
to cut,
Yeah.
barely enough to cut the wood. That's
Yeah,
That
it's
literally-
about an eighth over. Well, it depends on the kind of wood you're cutting. But,
right. I know, but it doesn't have to be like wow. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, you
Like,
see people crank the thing right to the top.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like,
Oh,
you know,
I would not have. It would be cut right here if that was the case.
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
saved me was the blade wasn't up.
It wasn't up enough to cut your finger right off. Yeah.
Yep.
Rotoboss said Bell stuff is the best if you can still find it anymore.
I had a bell saw planer back in the late 70s, and it did a molder, shaper, or planer. And one of the things it would do is you could gang rip blades on it and rip stuff in. Like if you needed a whole bunch of 2-inch wide pieces, you could gang all these blades on there. But the crazy thing was, you fed into the blade as the blade's turning this way, you're feeding into the back of it, and then it goes into the rollers. I mean, it was just one of the wildest things. But
The one thing that's been scary to me, to be honest, and like, it's cool to respect the tools. Those dado blades. I've never used dado blades.
Oh, I use them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of like,
Yeah, they're not the shaft on a job saw is generally not long enough for them. So, but if you have a cabinet type saw, they usually have a long shaft, so you can put a.
Fat Luck Creation says, "Hey fellas, what knowledge are you sharing tonight? This is live questions and answers. So, what questions do you have?"
It's Fat Luck Creations new. I don't recognize that one. That's a cool name.
Yeah,
welcome.
You got questions? We got answers. Let us know. Let us know. That's
we might not have the right answers, but we have answers. or you might get 4 answers.
I stole that saying from my friend Steve Banks. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Hey,
it's a slogan for some store here.
Is it? You got questions? We got answers?
Yeah, it's something like
that.
What
is it, like a Geek Squad?
No, it's not Geek Squad.
Let's have that same bell saw planer I had. Yep. It is a beast. I wish I had never sold it, but I got into a deal after I got divorced way back that I needed money.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
My father has it's probably 100 years old, at least 100 years old, an 18-inch jointer. And I thought about, because he's starting to tear down his shop. He's in his mid 80s now, and he's not doing all that well. And I thought about getting it, but I don't know, it's 1,000 miles away from me. So I helped him pull it. He found it in some guy's backyard. It was sitting there, and he restored it. But the thing came out in 3 pieces that took 4 of us to carry, each of them. But I'd love to have it. I mean, the thing is, it's pointless now because you can't even get 18-inch wide lumber anymore. Like, you can't even get 10-inch wide lumber, barely.
There you go. Rotobot said, "I'm selling mine. I don't use it anymore, but you have to come get it. It's big and it's a heavy pig."
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
The UPS charge on that will be pretty massive.
Yeah.
Hey, Cody. Farby, sorry. I was talking to somebody named Cody today.
So you guys got any questions? Let us know. That's what we're here for. It looks like got some new faces. Always cool to see new faces, and of course, our regulars. But yeah, you guys got any upcoming projects that you are going to be trying to solicit with these? I guess Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up.
I'm sure I do.
Oh yeah, I got
keeping that close to his chest.
Well, no, it's like I have to look on a list every day and go, okay, that's what I should be doing, or that's what I should have done last week. Oh, what's that?
The wind spinner.
Oh yeah, okay.
I've got a whole stack of them up here. We're doing a bunch of parrots having cocktails.
Nice.
So it's metal.
Yeah, they're made out of. It's sublimated on there. The graphic is.
Can you buy those?
Yeah, you buy the blanks, and
oh, I didn't know you could even buy the blanks.
I got a pile here.
Oh,
so we got different styles. Amazon is one place you can get them. Craft Express another place. Then you can get them. You can also hang them on top of each other. I gotta get my
You know,
camera view there.
It's kind of remind me of that movie. What's that movie?
Oh, that's cool.
What's that movie? Rio.
And these spin in the wind.
Of course, then I'd have to drop 10 or 15 grand for a good printer to print on them.
LTX Design said, "Hey Andy, you get your X controller yet? You might not have. You might not remember I ran into you at the Avid booth at UGM.
Yeah. So the Vectric meeting, the Vectric user group meeting. Yeah, I remember running into you, talking to you. I have not got my EX controller yet. I was sharing with the guys right before we jumped on that I'm running with the old controller right now, and I'm an hour away from having this thing moving. So I'm super excited about that. Avid
what does an EX controller do for you?
So Avid, that's their new controller they just released. It's an upgrade, and it's a completely different system. Let's say, and so instead of using Mach 4, they're using Centroid now. So a more robust operating, software. And
still only 3-axis though, right?
Yes, still only 3. You can add a 4th. You can add a I guess, is a rotary considered a 4th? I never know.
Well, it depends, because usually they use it's 4 axes, but usually they use 4 channels for X, Y, and Z, Z, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So
but it's
A is the axial one. For axial.
But what it allows them to do is this paves the way for their new auto tool changer, which is coming out soon.
Nice. Rotoboss said, "What would you consider a good dial laser for just playing around hobby use?" I'd say get at least a 40 watt.
40?
Yeah. The only reason I'm saying 40 is because they're so cheap now, right?
Yeah, the prices have definitely come down.
Right.
They definitely don't go less than a 20.
Right. No, I'd say at least a 20. But what I'm saying is a year ago, a 40 watt was like, whoa, right. It was pretty expensive. But a 40 watt is so cheap now that like 20 to 40 is not much.
Yeah.
So just get a 40.
I have that 48 watt Acmer P3. It's $1,700, I think.
Right.
Or 48 watt. And the thing cuts beautifully.
Right.
Steve, I recommended that this week based on your recommendation.
Yeah, and you know what? I meant with these lanterns I was making. This is just a cedar fence picket. So you think, well, there's not much difference between a 35 and a 40 watt. A 35 watt, it took me 4 to 5 passes, and a 40 watt, I can cut it in 1. And you're like, what?
Yeah, it's time is the big difference, right?
So I may do 2 or 3 passes, just because if depending on the moisture content in this, maybe it's going to leave a little piece that's snagging. So I have an extra pass just in case to clean up anything, right? But as the wood sits inside my house, it gets drier. It's not an issue. But if it's fresh from the Home Depot or Menards, it's been sitting in the rain.
Yeah. There you go.
Oops, sorry.
Segue to our
okay,
giveaway
David,
coming up.
November 20th, and we'll start advertising for it. Just I guess I haven't been posting too much about it because it's too far advanced. People just forget. We are giving away a Nano
Pro. Longer Nano Pro.
This guy right here.
Not that exact one, because we're going to give away a brand new one. Right?
A brand new one shipped directly from the manufacturer.
What's the date on that again?
November 20th.
November 20th.
Okay. The 20th.
So in order to be eligible, you have actually, you know what? We're not even running the banner. Hold on. In order to be eligible, you have to subscribe to each of one of our channels, all of ours. You have to share at least one video. You have to comment on at least one video, and you're good to go. So what was easier to me, and you don't have to do it, but when you're sharing it, if you send me a link to whatever Facebook page or whatever that I can verify, that's cool. And then, you know, and you don't have to necessarily comment and share the same post. You could comment on one post and share the other. I will look. So, and then we basically do a Shop Talk Live, hashtag Shop Talk Live while we were in the chat. And we use an app from StreamYard that will automatically pick the winner. So there's no bias or cheating whatsoever. You know, it's legit. And we allow you to enter as many times as you want. So we say copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste away. And it helps to add a little, so we're not complaining. And yeah, and we're also going to have the manufacturer on the live with us. Nano's Longer is going to be on the live with us, and the reason they're going to be on the live with us is they're going to be able to literally ask any questions that you have on the laser directly, and they will speak English, Chinese, and Spanish. Just anyone wants to speak in their native language.
It's
Not at the same time. They might sound possessed.
The fact that you can enter as many times as you want is interesting. I looked at the comments from the one, I think it was the one Clayton one, and there was just kind of regular noise kind of comments, and then there was this huge spike, and I thought, oh, that's Clayton.
Steve said, need my address now? Hopefully, brother, hopefully. Yeah, so we had asked Longer if they could directly ship it to the winner. That way we don't have to, have it sitting in one of our houses and then worry about the shipping. So this is going to be directly shipped from Nano, and it will be at no cost to you at all.
Depending on where you are, there might be some customs charge or something, but
right. Jose said, can I score in metal with the CO2?
No.
No, not really.
Not unless scoring is kind of a...
Etching would be a better term.
Yeah, you can do some basic engraving if you have like Surmark or that magic stuff that Rick has there that's still $50 a bottle, but it's very expensive.
Yeah, so look what it says right there. To use of CO2, fiber, and Yang lasers.
Yeah, but that's not exactly the answer to this question, right? This question is score.
Right.
What that stuff does is it actually makes the laser bake it onto the metal.
It's like you wrote on permanent marker.
Yeah, well, kind of. It's bumpy, like you can feel it.
I know what I'm saying, basically. Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to actually do scoring on metal, you're looking at a fiber laser, or really a fiber laser, UV laser.
There, Clayton said it. That's how you win right there. You put hashtag Shop Talk Live in the comments.
And you do that about 1,000 times. Everybody do that. Yeah,
everyone does it. We don't get mad. And some people get mad. I don't care. Do it as many times as you want.
It's how bad do you want a laser, right? A little bit of work. Nothing's free,
takes
right?
away from enjoying the program. You know what? We have inside of the actual we use StreamYard. We have on the right hand side, we can star comments so we can circle back to them and kind of filter out all the comments. Because what you have to remember is that it doesn't matter. I guess you could be watching from Andy's channel, Roger's channel, Steve's channel, or my channel on YouTube, or you could be watching from Facebook. So it's pulling all these different comments from all these different social medias into one app and then allow us to collectively. That's why we share all the comments on the screen, because if you're on each one of our channels, you won't see each other's comments, or Facebook versus YouTube. So just kind of bring it in there. No, there's no stupid question. Jose asked, man.
Jose was apologizing for asking a valid question.
And you know what, Jose? I guarantee there's other people on the live who may have that question, just didn't have the courage to ask.
Yep.
So it's so many times somebody asks a question, and then others chime in, and that we go down like this rabbit hole because there was other people who had these questions, but they just embarrassed to ask. So that's what we're here for.
Well, what I used to tell all my apprentices was, no question is stupid if you don't know the answer, and I'd really rather have you ask me if you don't know than screw something up and have me have to go back and fix it.
Yeah, especially if the question is something like, should I wear glasses when I'm laser engraving. That's not a dumb question.
Beat Me Up Laser said, Shop Talk Live, 1 million entries. See, Jose, people are even saying, Jose, no, there's no stupid question.
Well, appreciate that.
Yeah. I need all your YouTube channels like Roger's site. So on the bottom, I added the ticker. It actually shows all of our
scrolling across the bottom. Not surprisingly, now that YouTube has actual names instead of those cryptic codes they used to use, you can
you have to request them now, right? You have to request them.
Do you?
Yeah. Because I have a handle and I have two different. You can put the @ symbol or you can put something else.
You can. Yeah, they use a hash code or something because they want everybody's channel to have a unique ID. But
one's called a handle, one's called something else. There's two different names for the same thing.
Yeah. I just took advantage of it when they said, "Hey, you can do this now, and you have a time that you can do it." I went, okay. So I didn't have to ask anybody.
Yep. Fred said, what are your thoughts on the Jimitsu 4040 Pro Max as a starter CNC?
Well, one of my CNCs is a Jimitsu 4040 Reno. In fact, that's the one I screwed up a project on today to no fault of the CNC. It was operator error. But it's, if you're just wanting to get your feet wet and learn a little bit, but you're going to want to upgrade once you get the hang of everything.
Yeah. And one of my CNCs is the Genmitsu 4030 Prover XL, which is now a 6060 Prover XL, I guess. But same thing. I have the same opinion. They're good to get you started. They're probably the most solid of the entry level CNCs, we'll say one of the most. And you are going to outgrow it. Be prepared.
Yeah, software. That's a question that you have to answer with those machines.
Corp said, challenge accepted. Yeah. Look, we were already showing love. Says, okay, we got the Shop Talk Live.
Yeah, so unlike lasers where you basically have light burn and that's all you need, CNCs tend to need things that are, you either need more than one tool or you need or they're expensive tools. So like a Genmitsu ships with theirs, like Universal UCB, whatever that thing is, Universal Code Center.
Yeah,
UGS. Yeah.
And they also ship with Candle.
Yeah, there's also one from CNC Lab, which is free.
They ship with the Candle.
Candle's a software there.
I thought you ship with the Candle.
That's their G-code sender.
Yeah, but that's not enough, right? Because that thing, all it does is takes the G code and sends it to the CNC. You still need a tool that generates the G code. And a good segue, because Fred put something in the comments here. VCarve Pro is one of those. If you want to start small, you can start with VCarve Desktop and save yourself, a couple $100.
Even Cut 2D.
Yeah.
Is there low?
Oh yeah, well yeah, they have a series, and the beauty of Vectric, who the maker of VCarve, is if you want to upgrade to the next thing, it's just the difference in price. It's not like you pay, you don't, to go from desktop to pro, you don't pay, pro price or some chunk of a pro price. You just pay the difference between the list on the desktop software versus the pro software.
Yep.
And that's how I've started. I had a smaller CNC before, so there was no point in having pro, but now my CNC is big enough that I need pro to level the workspace, for example.
I want to go back to this question. You said, I'm in the market for fiber laser near in the future. I've been looking at I don't even know how to pronounce this. How is it? Quakey Pro 30 watt, or comparison to
the Ocean.
Yeah. So
people from Haiti.
Yeah. So Pascal's laser, that's the one that's darker that's sitting to the other side of me. This one. That's that brand. So what I would say is this, that when it's hard to do an apples to apples comparison when you're buying factory direct from China and you're buying stateside, because there's going to be a drastic difference in price. Okay, so my thing is that when you're buying factory direct, supposedly, there's a whole lot of people who are not factory direct. They just happen. It's like if Home Depot didn't exist in another state and you went to Home Depot and sold it. That's what they're kind of doing, right? And they're rebranding it. So if you can buy directly from China, you're gonna get a huge cost savings, right? But you got to make sure that you're buying a reputable company that's not selling you crap. And then two, if you do run into problems, you have support. And then the good thing is that a lot of times you have to remember that they're on a 13-hour difference, right? So when they have this community of Facebook, it's most of the time they don't even have to help you, because by the time you write something, someone in the community already answers your question. So if you're buying the exact same laser, you'll see it like this Reyes, the gray one behind. You'll see the same exact laser with 5 different names because they're rebranding it, right? The reason you're paying more for any stateside laser, whatever it is because you're paying for the support. You're paying for a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, toll-free number, tech support, email. So if you need that level of support, you need that Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 email support, then you got to pay to play. But if you're a person who's a little more tech savvy, or you can figure it out, or Steve said one time, what you do business at, he said the hours so that it was like their night and their day. That's what time you start your day.
I'm getting up when they're going to bed, basically.
Right.
Where I live, because it's exactly 12 hours difference.
Right. So he's starting stopping his days so that, when he's waking up, they're going. So he catches the 2 hours maybe at each end of the day, right? Maybe when they first started, right before they close up shop for the end of the day. So that's what I would say. I'm not, that's most of the time you can find the same exact laser, just rebrand it. So I'm not bashing another company. I'm just saying you're going to have a huge cost saving buying it from China, but just know what that comes with. Yeah.
Now on the power front here, is there a reason you're picking 30 watt? Is it budget, or is it what you're doing? Because I know Rick would say get the biggest one you can, 100 watt.
No, I go ahead, but I'll tell you my opinion.
I would say 30 is not a bad place to start. But if you want to do coins, and this might be the cue for Rick to whip that coin out of his pocket, but if you want to do a coin, you can do it with a 30 watt laser, but you're going to grow old while it happens.
So the one thing that I would say is this, that a 20 watt laser works, right? But to me, a 20 watt laser would really be for etching, dog tags, business cards. You want to do stuff like this, and you want to do it like in 5 seconds. That's what these are. You know what I mean? You want to do dog tag. You're at a trade show and you want to do a dog tag, a rest in peace dog tag, somebody's full face, full color, high resolution. Man, that thing is going to cook through them, right? So, 20 watt laser, 30 watt laser, no problem. But if you want to start doing the challenge coins, it's not because, you have a 30 versus a 60 watt that all of a sudden a 60 watt is twice as fast. What I keep telling people is that it is faster, but not as fast as you think. The big difference between the 30 and the 60 watt is your polishing phases, because it can go in a different range. So the coins done, they don't look nice. Everyone on YouTube shows you all these challenge coins.
Yeah.
They're so well polished. They look great. They don't. They look horrible. I can go grab one that's not polished, and you have to do a lot of elbow grease. So that higher watt laser that's kind of doing those polishing finishes, that's making the elbow grease not as ridiculous.
Yeah, while you're cleaning pass there, is it one pass you're doing or a couple of passes?
Couple passes.
Yeah, I mean, I've used a 20 watt fiber laser to do cleaning passes, and you can get pretty good, but you're not doing it with 2 passes. You're doing it with,
go as high as a frequency.
Yeah, the frequency's a problem, right? So
right. So it's like using 60 grit sandpaper versus 320. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
You see it. You can see the metal, you know. But yeah, so that's all I would say. So
Yeah.
I think
Well, no matter what kind of laser you have, you're doing some buffing at the end regardless,
yes,
right? So.
yes. So in my personal opinion, if I was doing a lot of etching pictures, not engraving, etching, a 20 watt is fine, and that's great. But if you want to do engraving, I wouldn't touch anything under a 30 watt. Realistically, I would say that you'd probably want a 60 watt, right? But if you're going to start doing cutting, you're cutting out material. You could do it with a 30 watt. You can do it with a 60 watt. But again, we're saying you're going to do multiple passes. So like if you want to make nameplates or crosses, things like that, you want at least 100 watt. And then 100 watt would just cut like nothing, like butter.
So I don't want to lose our place in the stream here, but the answer here is for budget, which isn't surprising. 30 is not a bad size, really.
No.
But keep in mind, you're not going to make a coin like the one Rick showed you.
Well, I'll show you the one I made on this 30 watt, the one he's talking about. That's from Pasquale. Let me show you.
Do you have a coin on it?
This is made on the 30 watt. And actually, so if you really want to see I'm being genuine, if you went to my YouTube channel, you'll actually see it being made on that 30 watt behind me, this gray one. Right here. That's the 30 watt from the manufacturer he's asking about. This is it. But I will say that the silver ones versus the brass ones, they're a little softer. So, but also, notice how that's pink? If you play with the temperatures, when you heat metal, it changes, so it looks like a rose gold. So that's the...
is that 30 watt of MOPA?
No. No. If you have a Harley or anything...
Sure there's not like the inside of that thing's not copper or something?
No. I literally watched it turn as I was messing with the channel. So it's like, think about this. If you have a Harley, right? Or any kind of chrome headers or anything with metal, they turn blue, right? They turn colors from heat. So now, is there a science to say I wanted it exact? No, there's playing with it. But I was able to duplicate this. And of course, that's why, everybody makes fun of me. But that's why I have my notebook. So I want to make that coin again. I already know my settings. I'm not repeating that trial and error process over, right?
Yeah. One of the things you learn as you go is to take notes.
Yes.
I got us back to where we were in the stream here.
Okay.
So.
Nancy says, I'm not sure if it matters, but your live, Steve, channel is the only one that comes up in my feed. I'm subscribed to everyone. So just because you're subscribed doesn't mean you're following, right? So you have to click on so you get the notifications.
Yeah, you got to click on the little bell click
on the bell.
But it's okay if mine's the only one that pops up anyway. Makes me feel special.
Yeah, so Rotoboss and we both have ties to him. And again, I'm not being unbiased. I'm just saying you're gonna save a ton of money buying from him. They got great support, and they have like 5 different Facebook groups. So between all of them, like, I don't think there's a thing you couldn't get.
Yeah, but as Rick mentioned, when you open the box on almost all of these things, you'll see the same hardware, literally from the same company. Was it JPT? Is that who makes the MOPA ones? Yeah, I mean, you crack open I had a Commarker B6 all torn into pieces on my workbench, and there's the red box from JPT, and it's the same one I guarantee is in Rick's MOPA laser.
Yeah, so this is the JTP from the MOPA. This is JTP, and this is from OMG Laser. Richard Zhang, he's a solid dude. To be honest with you, the only reason I started referring a lot of the customers to the other manufacturer, because they're asking about the 60. I was saying that, this is my 60, this is my 30, was because when I was tagging him in the posts and asking him to answer the customer's questions, he wasn't at all. So I'm like, why am I referring you customers? If you won't answer pre-sales questions, I'm worried about what happens if they run into a problem. So I think the laser works awesome, but I'm just, kind of like, hey, I go buy OMG laser and the guy ignores you. You're gonna be mad at me. So, great laser, but I don't know. He just it's not very responsive online, which is
So
kind of
Jose's comment here on screen is different too. Keep in mind that a fiber laser won't mark every kind of metal either.
Mm.
It will do stainless steel. It'll do brass, copper.
Where's he at? We're way down.
It was on the screen there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But if you have something like aluminum or titanium, you're not going to mark that with a fiber laser. You will mark it with a UV laser.
So I had that.
Welcome to the
titanium
exciting world of all these goofy technologies. I will do a video on what all of these lasers can do, because now I have a UV laser sitting on my workbench. And
you got a 5 watt? Which one is it?
Yeah, it's a 5 watt. Well, it's a JPT, but it's com marker Omni
Okay.
1. It's a nice laser.
No,
I like it.
Yeah,
And five, you can't. And that's the other thing. You can't map the power from, say, a diode laser to a CO2 to a fiber to a UV, because a 5 watt UV laser can do at least as much as a 20 watt fiber laser can do.
The one thing I thought was crazy was the 3D UV. I didn't realize it was a difference until I start seeing the people asking, like, do you have the 3D version? And they're like, no, I do have UV, but not UV 3D.
So the UV laser I have won't do it won't do grayscale. So you can't adjust there's no power setting on a UV laser. It's basically on. And what you're controlling is the frequency and the Q pulse, like the pulse width, and then it figures out a resulting power from that, a calculated power. But a 3D version of that, it has more adjustment on it. So if you want to do something like a coin, like I did a coin on this one, and it works, but you don't get depth. Not the same way you would with a fiber laser, but you would with a 3D UV laser.
It looks like Roger, you're up. How hard is it to learn the software for a 3D printer, considering buy one for Black Friday?
It's not that difficult. You'll use, of course, you got to have a design first, or download one from Thingiverse, or create your own in CAD and save it as an STL. Then you bring it into what's called a slicer, and there's Cura, there's Prusa, there's Creality has one.
Bunch of slicers.
Yeah. And some, like my Bamboo, they have their own slicing software, which works fantastic. I mean, I love it, but it's not hard to learn.
Quib said, did you guys generate the G-spot? I've been known to find it a couple times. He said, sorry, I'm really a child.
There could be children listening.
They're not supposed to be. They don't play with tools.
Well,
this is an adult show.
Your 4-year-old built something.
Yeah. Rotoboss said, I'd recommend 123 Design. It's free. I use it to design every part of my rotary. Oh, cool.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is that so? I'm looking for a replacement for Fusion, because Fusion is just outrageously expensive.
It is.
And I can't believe there's not a decent 3D CAD. There's like FreeCAD or whatever it's called. It does 3D, but the learning curve on it is brutal.
Nancy said, not being able to use my machine for weeks. If you know, you know.
I have not been able to master FreeCAD at all.
No, it's kind of old school. I wish they've been slowly improving their user interface. I just downloaded the newest version of it just to check, and it's gotten slightly better, but they still haven't conquered things like, panning and rotating things without going to some menu to do it. It's just goofy.
So Nancy thought the joke was funny.
Yes, but she won't be back next week now because of you.
No, we'll just send Richard to come beat you up. Well, like it was a silver fox. Fred said, Andy Birds, thanks for your great CNC content.
So yeah, I love this. I get this all the time. The Angry Bird builds. Like when people see Andy Bird builds, they think angry. And so I'm going to do like a April Fool's joke one of these times.
Hey, I paid for this monthly AI tool that creates video. I'll let you use my login and make some skit about angry bird.
No, I'm going to do it in real life. I'm just going to smash things.
You're gonna do the old school rock star guitar banging.
Yeah. I'm going to make something really cool and then just smash it.
Beam me up, Scotty said, Jose, turning trash into something is a winner. Absolutely. I think we all got married. They accepted us.
So this here is Mike, and he's from my CNC community, the Inner Circle community, and I actually did a video with him. I released it. It was the last video I released. So it's cool to see Mike join us. You can keep going. He's the one I recommended the Acmer P3 to, Steve.
Nice.
I think he left me a comment actually.
Hey, Catherine. Good evening from South Bend, Indiana. You're right around the corner from me and Roger.
Yeah, so you might want to consider moving. Yeah.
Nancy said, "Bad Rick." I told him.
There you go.
Will beat up Steve, not me.
I didn't say anything bad. My mind, gutter. You know, I'm not in the gutter.
Here you go.
I asked Andy for advice on a first laser. He said Steve liked the ASMR Pro, so I checked it out, his review it, and based on that, I went ahead and ordered it today.
Sweet. Hopefully you use my affiliate code, but yeah, it's always like when I watch YouTube channels and I see YouTube creators do stuff, and Rick mentioned this a few times, are they actually using that tool for something, right? Well, I could take you over to my shop right now. It's about a 3-minute walk from here, but and if I showed you my workbench, you'd see the Acmer P3 sitting there. It's the diode laser I use.
Yeah, he was looking for just a first laser. His budget was under 2K.
Oh yeah, then the 48 watt P3 is an awesome laser for that.
Yep. Bang for your buck. I felt like that fit really well.
It's one of the few that actually has no little gotchas when you're trying to run it in Lightburn. They all have something that doesn't work quite right in Lightburn. This thing, you turn it on, and the second you connect it in Lightburn homes it. It's ready to go. It just works, and that when you're trying to make money from time, that's important, right? So
yeah, he did use your affiliate link.
Nice,
awesome.
There you go.
Thank you. Now I can buy a fresh loaf of bread instead of the day old stuff.
So
which bamboo do you recommend?
I have the X1 carbon with the AMS on it, and I'm going to try to rotate this camera around. It's dark over there, so you may not be able to see it too well.
And he just wants to show this fancy panning camera that he has.
Yeah, I need to find the damn printer, though.
It's not there.
I'll get it around there eventually.
There it is.
There it is.
That does look pretty damn fancy, though.
Okay, that's the Bamboo X1 carbon with the AMS in it, and behind that is a mess. But this is always under construction up here.
It looks badass, though.
I looked at it last week, Roger, when you recommended it. I'm not too. I'm not there yet on the price point.
It's got a heavy price tag, though, right? It's pretty expensive.
Yeah. Well, with the AMS, you're looking at about $1,000. You find it on sale.
Yeah. I think it was about not on sale. I think it was 12 or 13
with the AMS.
With the AMS, yeah.
Kathleen says, "Do you know if there's a third-party option for the X tool filter?"
I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure either.
Third-party option. Like, can you use it on a third-party laser? Is that what you're asking? Because the answer is yes. the only thing you don't get, I assume you're talking about the new filter, the AP2. The only thing you don't get if you're not using an X tool laser is the auto mode, so it won't turn on by itself and turn off. But hey, we learned to live with disappointment, right? It works really well.
LTX Design said, Steve, you looked into SolidWorks. I spoke with them today. I used to use Fusion, then Carveco. Now I'm at Carveco, but looking to add SolidWorks. Can't beat the price, $48 a year for Maker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw SolidWorks. It's a relatively new product, I think. Like,
it's been around forever.
Well, no, SolidWorks for makers.
Yes. Yeah. That offering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might get a hold of them tomorrow and see.
Boomer said, Steve, try the new version of Onshape.
Yeah, I've played with Onshape too, but there's some things Fusion does that I like, and I can't honestly live without, which is the only reason I still pay for it. But it's crazy expensive. It's hundreds of dollars a year.
Dennis said I have a longer Ray 5 20-watt laser, and the longer says it should cut 3mm basswood at 700 speed, 100 power. The best control test says 300, and below speed is at 50 to 100% power. What am I doing wrong?
Okay, is your lens clean? That's going to be the number one thing. Number two is the focus correct, because that should do it at 700 and 100%. If it's unless you're talking plywood, in which case it may not do it. But if it's just plain basswood, yeah, it'll cut that.
Yeah, if it's laser grade basswood, it should cut. If it's hardware store basswood, it may not. You may have to slow down to 600 or something. But yeah, you should be able to cut that with a 20-watt. It's only 3mm. That's kind of a staple for lasers.
Yeah,
basically.
More people on the Onshape free CAD option.
Yeah, I played with it. The things, so you can, there's a free version of Fusion too. The problem is I use some of the cam stuff. I use like lots of little projects and do big assemblies. So my DIY laser is completely modeled in Fusion, and I can look at the entire laser in Fusion. I couldn't do that with the free one.
LTX Design said, Roger, them AMSs on my P1P has been the bane of my existence. I have to take things apart constantly, and I use bamboo fill fulfillment.
Well, I have absolutely never had an issue. Not one at all.
You don't have a P1P though, right? You have a.
I have the X1 carbon. The P1P is like the stripped down version of the.
Yeah, it's the previous generation.
What was the thing you were saying about the heating element of the filament, or that helps it, right? Or something to that effect?
Well, it depends on the filament you're running through. If you're running like the wood look filament through, you need a hard nozzle, because you'll wear out a brass nozzle in a hurry. But I use the hardened steel nozzles anyway because mine runs so much.
Nancy said, Steve, you mentioned the new inline fan for X-Tool is lowered. How looks would you say? Because I don't want to go deaf with the continued use.
Yeah. Oh, loud. Okay.
Loud.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see I'm not the only one who types this way. If you're running the highest speed, that the inline fan 2, the IF2, which they just came out with, is pretty loud. It's a fan, but basically it's two 14,000 RPM fans back to back, pumping massive amounts of air through. So it's definitely going to be loud. But you can go to lower speeds too. It's not.
But also keep in mind, if you have an external fan, once you connect that, it kind of drones out. It's not as loud.
Well, if it's vented outside, like if the other end of the fan is outside, most of the noise is going out, right?
Right.
Yep. But yeah, this thing's a little jet engine. It's pretty loud. Like I just had it originally sitting on my workbench, and I turned it on full blast, and it was just screaming. But once it's vented outside, it will definitely be quieter.
MV said, Artura is launching the H2O enclosed laser. It looks like a lot the X-Tool S1 with a built-in camera. Have you ever had a chance to review this laser? I have not.
They have been bugging me for 2 months, 3 months at least, to review this. And I've just been so busy.
I haven't had an offer from them, but here's this is a class 1 laser here. It's made by MacPow. It's got a 400 by 400 millimeter work surface. And it does have a camera if you want to use it. And it's built in. And it's nice. And it's not all that expensive as far as class 1 lasers go.
I think I saw your review on that, Roger.
This H20, I think, is more comparable to something like the Acmer P3. The S1 is, in some ways, it's in a league by itself, and by that I mean it could be good and it could be not so good. There's some annoyances with the S1, like most lasers, but there's some things that I think for the price you shouldn't be annoyed with.
LTX Design said, I run Bamboo PLA. Also have hardened nozzle on my P1P. In the event I need CF, I am at the point I don't even put the screw back into the arms anymore since it breaks every other time I use it.
Were you having problems with the tubes coming loose or wearing out? Or I just happen to have a bag of tubes sitting here because I bought a set of spares just in case. Because these I'm going to call it a Bowden tube, although I know that's not the right term. These tubes do wear out, and if you are using carbon fiber or one of the wood filaments, you're going to wear these tubes out pretty quick. I have only had to change one in the time I've had mine.
Do you want to explain what do you mean by replacing it? Why they need to replace it? Maybe someone who's still looking to get into 3D printing. What is that actually for? What
the filament passes through this tube as it comes from the EMS and feeds down into the base where it decides which filament is going to go into the printer. And well, like anything, I mean, it's plastic and it'll wear out. And if you have an abrasive type filament like carbon fiber or wood or some of the marble types, it'll wear that tube out pretty fast. And it's not just on an AMS. If you have a bed slinger printer like behind me here with Bowden tubes on it, you'll have the same issue if you're using any type of filament that is abrasive.
So how long do those typically last?
Oh, a long time. Like I said, it depends on what filament you're using.
What's a long time? Are we like once a month, every 6 months?
Well, with mine, we're running PLA, and mine runs almost every day. In 2 years, I've only had to replace one tube, and that was where I was running carbon fiber.
Yeah, not bad at all. Nancy said my lasers are in my bedroom / laser room. It will drive me crazy. I do vent it out the window.
Yeah, I mean, certainly don't try and sleep with it running.
What's that white noise?
It's beyond white noise. But if you were running there's 4 speeds on it. If you're running it at the 3rd speed instead of the 4th speed, it's quite a bit quieter. The 4th speed is like turbo mode. And in fact, on XCS, you can configure these things to run in quiet mode. And what it's really doing, I think, is running it at the 2nd level of speed.
My opinion would be,
I mean, keep in mind how much draw this fan has, right? If it's at 4, I have a video somewhere. I was running it on... I just ran a pipe over to the UV laser and I was cutting wood or something. And you can literally see this big pillar of smoke getting sucked right into the pipe that's at the back of the laser. Like, it's just so incredible how much suction it has. But you can easily turn it down and it still works. So keep that in mind. You don't, just because you have a turbo mode doesn't mean you need to use it.
Turbo.
I say balls to the wall, man.
Yeah.
All the way. Go big or go home. Deal with the sound.
Yes. Well, the police officer in the crowd just said, don't use Speed 4.
So Clack actually brought up an interesting point the other day on his live. and he was mentioning that, and he was taking some heat for it, that he doesn't ship. He has enough local business. He doesn't ship, and I don't ship at all. And you know, and I know you guys do.
Yeah,
But
I do
you know,
a lot.
Definitely a different approach.
yeah. I mostly ship actually. I have a few locals, but not too much. Like sign guys, like solar guys, they're all local. But like if I'm making a cribbage board or a charcuterie board or something, it's usually shipped.
Hey, pop back up to the comment there about the filament breaking,
Oops.
Oh.
because I know what causes that with PLA filament.
I waited.
Okay, if it's breaking in the tubes, your filament's wet.
Yeah.
You need to
Old.
dry it.
Old
Yeah,
or
it's either
wet or
old
something.
or wet or both. Because if PLA, especially with PLA, it absorbs moisture, gets extremely brittle, and it'll break.
Right, but didn't you say there's like a dryer or a heater or something? That was
Yeah.
to my.
And top of the AMS, there's actually pockets for desiccant, as provided you keep the lid closed and keep the desiccant refreshed. It'll keep that dry. And I also have filament dryers. I got 3 of them over yonder over there, sitting in the corner that I use when I need it. But otherwise, I keep all my filament in a sealed package, and most of the time. But if you leave filament just sitting out like this, and it gets humid, when this here will get brittle and break. Of course, it's real dry here now. I don't have humidity, but yeah, this stuff will break and snap, and it'll drive you nuts. And it usually always breaks inside a tube somewhere, so it's just a bitch to get out.
Yeah. Get yourself a lot of really big Ziploc bags.
Nancy said it's not my bedroom; it's a bedroom turned into a laser room. Well, you could buy
Did
that
you get
black
your
DJ booth. Just stick it on the walls. You're good. It look kind of
Did
cool.
you get your laser aligned, Nancy? You were having some trouble with
the
getting it
mom
aligned.
port
Yeah, I think she was referring to that. She said, she said,
weeks. Yeah,
if you know, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clack said 4 is overkill. Like most machines, act like a leaf blower.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah,
I-
at 4 it definitely is left.
I bought a 3500 dually, and it had a turbo on it, and I said I want to add a second turbo. They said you're not gonna need it, and I said I want it. It had like
There's room
3
for it.
miles
I
on
might as well put it on. Right?
I'm 110. I want a turbo. It had like 8 miles on it. Get the second turbo put on it. Jay Don't Play said I keep my curling iron in my room too.
You got curling iron from that?
Curling machine. What is it? I keep my
Coairly.
curly.
Coerly? Coerly? Oh, coer. What
Did
language is that?
autocorrect punish you for something?
Yeah. I think laser is what I'm going to go with.
Okay, sounds good. Legs, let's hope for Black Friday sale. Yay. Roger, are you an affiliate of theirs?
No. And they did not provide that to me. I bought it. And
Yeah,
I'm buying the next one
to.
too.
They don't seem to do affiliate stuff.
Nan said, I want to rev up my business, but don't want to ship either. Falling with dishonest people will kill profits, especially at the beginning. I think Roger can share some Amazon stories with that.
Oh, yeah. But we do a high enough volume that it gets offset. And actually, Amazon will stand behind the seller if somebody obviously it's just right out fraud. They'll stand behind you, and it won't cost you anything but some time and hassle.
Yeah.
Like the time I got sent a box of rocks on a return.
Were they at least nice rocks?
Steve,
this gravel out of the driveway.
Oh, gravel.
That's the newest lantern, Steve. Yeah. I think it's pretty cool. Little Ricky painted this one. Cedar picket fence. Apparently, we're titris, as they would say. She said, Google it. That was not.
Hey, back to Nancy's thing about shipping. It's important to have profit margin to be able to take those things, right? Like, unfortunately, I mean, we all do it on the consumer side. We're paying for people's returns.
Yep.
With the products that we buy.
If you're selling on something like Amazon, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And as a consumer, that's why you're paying extra for Amazon Prime, right? For the shipping costs, right? Otherwise, why do you
privilege
really
of annoying the guy who sold it to you? Yeah. I don't return very much though.
You're not one of those people that buys like 20 versions and then just returns 19 of them, tries them all on, or tries them all out, and then
No, that's my wife's tactic with clothes. Every week there's like a big box of stuff comes in. The next day, most of it goes back.
Don't worry, I'm not going to keep it all. I'm going to return some of it.
Wow. Let's just say I just Googled what that machine. Yeah, I won't show it, but just say if you want a good laugh, you might want to Google it too.
What machine?
Oh. Okay. So that was intentional.
Yes. I thought it said curling iron.
Definitely not.
It's definitely not a curling iron.
I mean, Jay don't play.
Yeah, it packs a good punch. Let's just say that. You know what I am guilty of, since we're saying Amazon. I bought these 2 pinks for the unicorn spit, right? And the only reason I bought the 2 was because the only reason I was making these was for my wife, right?
Huh.
I thought maybe I'd make a look at Steve's face.
So I guess she wasn't too upset about your G-spot comment then.
Everyone's gonna be Googling it now. We gotta drop an affiliate link for the Amazon.
Yeah, I'm gonna create an affiliate link for that and stick it up on my
I am
page.
an Amazon affiliate, so just saying. Yep. But no, so I bought these 2, and they were like 17 and 18 bucks, let's just say, right? But like I said, when I posted that, and all of a sudden they want purple, now somebody else wants blue, I'm gonna be guilty. I'm gonna buy just a big giant set and send those 2 back. Because if you buy the big giant set, they're like 11 bucks versus 18 bucks. But I didn't buy the big set because I was only intending on making pink.
Are we becoming privy to a crime you're about to commit here? Because that sounds bad.
No, we're talking about
Amazon
returns. Talking about Amazon returns. Jay Don't Play said worth every penny.
It's a victimless crime, right? That's what you're about to say.
Yeah, that's why you pay for Amazon Prime. Crazy. Roger already has one ordered. I saw that look on his face. He was like, "Yep." Still completing job. 1 done. Then we'll focus on the mom port. So what are you up to now, Nancy? What do you got in that nice room of yours?
Other than that interesting machine.
No, that's
the curling iron.
I'm talking to Nancy, not Jay Don't Play. Hilarious. But
it's just worse.
I don't think I've seen Roger smile so much in a long time.
I'm just keeping quiet too. I don't get myself in trouble here.
Hopefully, this is all self-help stuff. And
later, you see Roger, Father, forgive me for I have sinned. What did you do?
A mess.
A mess. That's what Nancy has going on. A mess.
But
welcome.
Good times. Yeah. Happy hump day, everybody. Happy hump day. Yeah. She said your mind is wandering, Roger.
Yeah, my mind's always wandering.
I've managed to get most of my shop cleaned up now. I still have a pile of lasers sitting on the floor that I'd like to have a yard sale for, but
my room looks like a glitter bomb went off. That stuff is like, I think I'll be cleaning it up for a month. It's like
4-year-olds don't discriminate too much about where the sparkles go.
Yeah. I did see this like glaze clear. It's almost like a clear epoxy that people were putting on those fans. I mean, American flags.
Yeah.
I was thinking about trying that.
Like just like a epoxy flood coat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
I
just
saw that at
pour it on.
Menards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I just saw a thing today. Magic Resin. I don't know if you've ever used them. They now have a UV epoxy that cures in seconds, minutes.
Oh, really?
I guess. So you basically do that pour coat and then shine your UV light over top of it, and it's cured.
That's cool.
Nice.
It's always a pain to wait, like I think we talked about this last week, the week before, but like all the epoxies are similar but different,
Yeah.
they're all the same product, but they all have different chemistries and
Well, they're different
set
purposes
times
too,
and
right?
different purposes.
Like the stuff I use for charcuterie boards is all deep pour. So, you pour it and come back in 2 days and it might be cured.
And it's like water. Man, the first time I ever did that deep pour stuff, and the viscosity really caught me off guard. I thought something was wrong. Like it's really
well, yeah. And if you want to do if you want to put mica in it and you want to do some kind of swirly thing, like that blackboard I showed you, I pour it and I come back about 10 hours later and then stir it.
What about the whole blowtorch thing? Are you using the whole blowtorch method?
Well, that's only to get bubbles out.
Yep.
But deep pour, you don't get bubbles in it anyway because it's got 2 days for the bubbles to come out. So,
Really?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's
48-hour cure time minimum.
Yeah, I've used some stuff that's 72. Actually, it's a Canadian company.
It's probably not that good then.
we make lots of them. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. It's the one I use now, actually.
Roger started laughing.
Chill. Is it Chill?
That's the model of resin. What's the name of the company? Geez, I just bought some not that long ago.
Nick said I actually cut the entire job with the X tool, S1, 2-layer, 4-inch interchangeable pieces for a welcome round, plus 6-inch panel, welcome words to our home, 18-inch wood backer that I bought. Yeah, it sounds like you got your work cut out for you. Unicorn spit, got it. Thanks. Yeah, so the only thing that I would say is don't make the mistake I had. You're gonna like it. So, and to stain like this whole thing was like 4 drops.
Okay,
Like
I'm gonna bring up the next message. Be careful. Watch Roger's reaction.
Bye, guys. Wet dreams, Roger.
I'm too old for that.
he's turning red though. Look at that. He made an old man a happy night. Hubby's job was sand dug.
I'm sure. I mean sanding.
Sanding.
Oh, okay. 118-inch rounds, stain them. I'm all else. A mess.
I was going to say, the way Nancy types, she must be a software engineer, but I think she said she was an accountant or something. Maybe they have the same symptoms. I spent 40 years writing code, and I wrote most of it twice.
I guess now that everyone is well aware of what that machine is, Jay Don't Play say feel free to subscribe. She's actually a fairly well-known magnet fisher.
Who?
Jay Don't Play.
Oh.
Yeah, you were. Oh, you weren't part of our group here when she was here.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'm kind of fascinated, just given how much water I live near. But
I don't just understand it. Like she has like the best luck in the world. Like she like pulls safes and guns out like nothing. You know what I mean? You see guys like their whole channel is magnet fishing. It's like, dude, that's cool, but it's boring. I mean, you don't find anything interesting. This
maybe she lives in the Bronx. There's going to be lots of guns lying in the water.
She lives in the Chicagoland area, right? So she's just like, she must have luck. She's just like, boom, gun, safe. Like, and it's like, and she's not cheating and clipping it. She goes live.
Wow.
You know, it's crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyone got any questions? Let us know. appreciate the regulars dropping in, and looks like a couple new faces, and of course Steve is always making it rain.
Thanks, Steven.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Throw you up something a little different there.
I like that. So Steve's gonna make fun of me, but my stupid coasters are on my list that I want to do, and the acrylic neon signs with the Montport K40 is on my list to do.
Yeah, neon signs are fun.
Yeah,
I make lots of them.
Yeah, that's on my list of things I eventually want to do.
The nice thing about signs is the people you tend to make them for are businesses, so they're not going to try and nickel and dime you, right? Like you say, hey, this thing's $300, and they're not going to say, oh, can you do it for 50? It's not like the Facebook Marketplace people or any of the free auction sites, free for sale sites.
Yeah, so the Montport K40, as we were talking to the Roto boss that was in here earlier, he said, I think 2 lives ago, he says it looks like he had a run, took off, but he said that he can make his rotary work with any laser. And I said, well, that's cool because we all have a lot of different lasers, right? So any laser is a pretty big statement to make. So I said that, well, the Montport, we had people, the laser chick Nikki and a couple other people, a lot of people in the live, they were saying they're making tumblers, they're making this, and they're making that. And the tumblers, they were comparing it. Yes, it can be done on a diode laser to some extent, right? Yes, it can be done on a fiber laser. But the ultimate best fast results was a CO2 laser, hands down, according to everyone else, right? So I said to him, hey, can you make a custom roto tool then that would fit in the Montport K40? So today I sent him all the measurements, completely removed the tray, and he said he's going to make a custom rotary tool for the Montport K40. So, because he manufactures these all himself, was pretty cool because if there's a demand, he'll make it, right? So something to keep in mind for people out there looking for something custom, because I'm not the first person that's going to go on YouTube and say, hey, there's a rotary on the Montport. But I just think anytime I saw them, they just sucked. Like, yeah, it works, but
it's surprising, when you look at how easy in concept a rotary tool is, how many of them are just terrible.
Yeah, it's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Like how hard is it to make something go around? Like it's
especially the very first ones that came out several years ago that were just like 2 little rollers with a stepper motor on it, and trying to keep your project from not slipping. If it was lightweight at all, if it was any kind of odd shape, you're out of luck. It had to be like a perfectly round cylinder that has some weight to it.
The Gen 1 at Tezer's rotary, that was like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't see that one. The one, they do have a good one. Like they have the one that's a chuck.
Gen 3. The Gen 3
and a roller, like there's two pieces.
Yeah, the Gen 3 rotary.
That's one of the better ones.
Yeah, I have that. I have the Gen 1, 2, and 3. Speaking of, I actually sent a Tezer message not too long ago and says, are you guys still like alive? What's going on with you guys? And they said they're kind of hanging tight to make any moves to 2025.
Yeah, well, it's like O'Toole, right? Like they were dark for almost 2 years, and then boom, now they have an H20.
Yeah. Hey, Herb, how's it going?
I mean, we have all worked in different companies, and there's definitely a cycle to, like a development cycle, right? Yeah. And like the smaller the team, the more they have to focus. Smaller the company, the more they have to focus. Like, hey, we're putting everything we have into R&D for this time period, and then it's like, okay, then we're going to market it. And then, it's a cycle. Now these bigger companies, they can do that like simultaneously, right?
Yeah, they got the funds to do it.
Yeah, well, that's the X-Tool model, right? Like they just, like it's, I mean, if you're trying to compete against X-Tool, it has to be discouraging, right? Because it's like they've released, 3 different lasers this year alone, plus their community site, plus now this air filter. Like they just don't stop.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's becoming like a glow force, you know. And what I mean by that is people who are not in lasers, you can say X tool and they know who it is. You know what I mean? Like it's people.
Yeah, it's their model is very different than, like, if you look at how, say, Longer makes lasers, right? They make a piece of hardware and it's an engineering tool, right? You can feel it, and then you put Lightburn on it, and that seals the deal. X Tool is one of the few companies that makes appliances, right? Like you don't have to think too much about how to like when I look at my own design CO2 laser versus the P2S, it's like night and day. Like I have to think about what a laser is when I use my laser, right? As opposed to slap a board down and push that blue button up on the top and things happen, right? It's just crazy.
Nancy said I ordered my new, what is it? P-burn
Pyburn?
P-burn V. Still haven't received it yet, but it's compatible connector for the Monport 90. Double check, no typos. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about, you know. So we'll see. I sent them all the dimensions today, and I actually posted it on the YouTube community, all the dimensions, because I have had people ask me the dimensions before, and I say time and time again, if you Google K40, there's a million people who make it. My opinion is that a Monport K40, the Monport version, is a pre-mod. And what I mean pre-mod is that any other K40 you'd buy, you're 100% going to change the controller card so it's compatible with Lightburn. You're 100% going to change a few things, and that's how it comes. But there's no way that a Monport K40 is going to compete with that thunder behind our buddy there. You know, it's just you know, a Volkswagen and a Porsche. You know, and it's the footprint. And then the power. But I would say that I don't think it's a bad, if you're going to start. If you were going to buy a K40, I think the Monport's the one you'd want to buy.
Hey, question for you guys on. So I've never changed a CO2 laser tube before. Have any of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never had to.
So I'm thinking I'm getting to that on this CO2 laser behind me. It just seems like it's less powerful. Mirrors are clean. Is there any way to tell other than just loss of power when you've checked everything else?
There's a gauge you can buy with it. I've heard they're pretty expensive, right? That will test the power coming out the laser.
Well, yeah, you don't want to buy one of those.
Yeah.
But
the tubes are not ridiculously expensive. And the other thing is too is that you don't have to necessarily buy an OEM tube, because you go to these Facebook groups and see these suppliers, man, you can get tubes pretty cheap. So in other words, you know, when it's like when you get a check engine light and it gives you 3 codes, right? You're like, I'm going to charge the cheapest one first, you know?
Was it Roger?
like the tube for the Muse 3D that I have. If you buy it from them, it's like $700 or something, but you can buy it aftermarket for about $250.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me about who was telling me this, that you have to be careful with that because there are some crappy tubes out there.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. That's why I said that if you went to these Facebook groups and they basically distribute parts, you're going to see hundreds of people ordering from them. So you know, like 2,000 people aren't buying
the real names though, like Cloud Ray or Recce.
Right. So, but what I'm saying,
those two you won't go wrong, and they have all the tubes for all the lasers.
Gotcha.
Right.
As long as that laser isn't like a RF laser or something. It's just a straight. Is it a straight CO2 laser?
Yeah, it's a straight CO2 tube.
Okay.
Yeah. And make sure you solder the connections. And if you go on Amazon, they sell this kit actually that you can like put it all together at the end connections when you redo the connections. I bought that kit, and I think it was like $17 or $18 because the Monport actually came not soldered, twisted, and had a piece of plastic that was like a rectangle 3D printed box, not a wire nut, and they just slid it over the tube.
Mhm.
And I was
Not
like,
not
"What
an
the hell is
HV
this?"
plug.
Yeah, yeah. So I bought that kit and I replaced it and redid the connections, and
Yeah.
and maybe it didn't change the function. I just didn't feel safe like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they usually come. Well, it depends who. Like Cloud Ray, when I bought the tube for my laser, the Cloud Ray came with the HV connector
Oh, okay.
on it, and I just had to put one on the other end on the power supply end.
Okay.
Put the
How
put
long
the
have you
put
had it,
them-
Andy?
Oh, geez, 2
Um,
years.
2 years, yeah.
Oh,
And I mean,
yeah.
we've ran it. We ran it pretty hard.
They're good for about 2,000 hours of runtime, like
I bet
actual
we're-
laser on time.
I bet we're there.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah. And you obviously check
Cloud
the
Ray will
temperature,
definitely have a
right?
tube for that thing.
Cool. What was that, Rick?
You're obviously your temperatures and all that are good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cooling.
Yeah. The other
Yeah,
thing I would
everything else- I've checked everything else. Everything seems fine. I went, and what I really noticed is, and maybe someone can learn from this as well, or you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the scenario where I found it is when you're cutting the same products over and over again.
Mhm.
And I found, like in Lightburn, obviously we have all those set, right, and saved. We're cutting the same material, same file, like settings are pretty set, dialed in. And then I found that those settings like aren't getting the same results as they did before.
Are you using the same exact material?
You're
No,
very
Yeah, well,
well-
it just-
meaning
they
it
don't-
was. Is it the same material that's been sitting in your shop dry versus material you just brought in? That's what I mean by that.
Gotcha. All of this has been sitting in my shop.
Okay.
Yeah, the tube doesn't. It's not like a light bulb, right? It doesn't usually just blow out. It tends to fade away.
Yeah.
And at some point it will blow, but it's not. That's not its normal behavior. It just kind of drifts down to zero.
Like the halogen lights when you keep flicking the light and off. Come on, buddy. You tap it a couple times.
I would say I never did that, but I'm sure that's what you mean. Yes.
I do that every now and then. Some lights.
Yeah,
on the base
I mean,
here.
I assume you pulled the lens out and cleaned that and checked for
Yep.
blemishes, because I actually had a lens that had a crack in it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I had an 80-watt spec lens with a 90-watt laser, and
I've
punched a hole.
burnt up lenses before.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, if it's aligned and the lens and everything, all the optics are clean, it wouldn't even matter, because if you're getting good power down to the material,
Yeah.
it's probably not alignment, so it's got to be the tube, right? There's just not enough power coming out of the tube. Now, if you've been cutting a lot of dirty material, make sure that the actual end of the tube is clean too. It's the optic on the tube is normally inset quite a bit, so you'll need like a Q-tip with alcohol and scrub it a bit, and then one to clean it.
I have not checked that.
Yeah, I
And this
had to
material that
do
we
that
cut-
on a 1 CO2 laser for somebody.
Yeah, it could be obstructing the laser.
This material that we cut, and this is intentionally a little burned around the edges for the look, but this is oak veneer. Zoom, there we go. But it's MDF core.
Yeah, that makes a lot of smoke.
Very,
Oh.
very dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Roger. You were talking about pressure washing the why am I lost for words? The metal thing that goes inside of our lasers. What is it called?
The great.
Oh, the
Yeah, the great-
honeycomb boards.
Yeah, the honeycomb.
boards.
The honeycomb.
Yeah,
I was
I
saying-
pressure wash those, lay them all out in the driveway, and just have at it. I mean, it doesn't take but a couple minutes, and no chemicals or anything. Just boom, I'm done.
Yeah, because the cedar picket fences, man, they like stain.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
when he was saying, I'm like, I should probably wash that. Like, I have like a permanent stain because, like you said, Andy, you do certain things like all the time. You
Yep.
know,
It's all
The
the resin burning out of the cedar, right?
yeah.
In MDF, it's glue. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, MDF is hard, especially that stuff with it's like hardwood veneer on both sides and MDF in the middle. I've used that stuff before. Man, it's hard to cut.
It is. It is like
Yeah.
we cut that. We started making this product on a glow forge, and I mean it was brutal. You know.
Do you have a diode laser? Yeah, you got the cheapest one on Amazon at least.
The $99 special.
You need one a little more powerful than that, but you probably would actually have better success cutting that stuff with a diode laser.
Really?
Yeah.
Get your.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, it's because it's a better wavelength, I think, for MDF, but it also isn't trying to plow a half-inch wide hole through the material. The beam is a lot smaller, right? So
A lot thinner. Yeah, that makes sense.
and
So
it's more infinite focus too.
yeah, I have a 15-watt diode.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
Just try it and see if it's better or worse. I mean, it won't be significantly better because it's only 15 watt. But the thing you can do with a diode laser is you can go faster and do multiple passes. And like you can do the math and go, well, if I do one pass really slow with lots of power, or 3 passes with quite a bit more speed, and it's still going to take you the same amount of time.
So start to finish on one of those lanterns, what's your burn time?
About, depending on the design, right?
Right.
But about 12 minutes to cut one, and that's the 4 sides, the design, and then the top and the bottom.
And then you're cutting those grooves.
Yeah, the finger joint, box joints. Yep.
You got to be
we're
careful, because I made a comment about making box joints with a laser, and that's not possible, right, Roger? Remember that?
Box joints, yes. Dovetails, no.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, they got really mad. That's not possible.
Somebody said box joints weren't possible.
Yeah, or dovetails or box
Dovetails
joints.
aren't.
Dovetails are not.
Yeah.
Not unless your laser's really out of alignment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I.
Yeah, but that was funny. That was early in one of our lives.
Yeah, like if you want a CO2 laser to cut at an angle, you can just offset it on the lens. As long as it's not going through the center of the lens, it'll come out at an angle.
How many watts is that laser, the CO2, Andy?
100.
Nice.
So I'm looking at a Lightroom file right now, and this is a wildflower design. So this one doesn't take nearly as long. But tell me if these settings sound what you would think for a 100-watt CO2 laser with this material. Speed of 50 millimeters per second, and that's at 100% power.
It's not out of the ballpark, it should be okay.
So that's what kind of we dialed them in at and gets a good clean result. And so that's what we had been doing, and now it's kind of like it's just not like, I don't know. Yeah.
It's probably if you've got a couple thousand hours on it, it's probably ready to replace.
Look, Nancy said I had no problem cutting MDF with X Tool 20 watt. It ran 12 hours a day for 10 days.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like finding the right laser for the material is always a challenge too, right? You just assume, a CO2 laser, I can do anything. Yeah. It's like a fiber laser, right? You can cut through a chunk of acrylic, but you can't touch a piece of paper.
If you made it this far in the live, don't forget to hit that thumbs up already. Give us that thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. Just being honest.
Yeah, there you go. 20-watt laser, 70% power, 5 millimeters a second. Now, I don't know what, Nancy, I would personally go 2 passes and maybe go 15 millimeters a second, but you get a cleaner edge on it. But who knows? The edge might be clean anyway.
Yeah. The other thing
Yeah,
is,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm always interested to see what people do to clean their honeycomb. I've thought of trying like oven cleaner.
Oh, pressure washer just works just great.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just
I did use a pressure washer, and it worked. It did work well on this one. So,
like I have some stainless steel cleaner, the stuff you use to clean barbecues, and it works okay. But I'm thinking like easy off, kind of, spray it on there and go away for 20 minutes and come back.
Well, the other one that works, the chemical that works real good if you're doing a pressure washer handy or you just want to do something quick, is that griddle cleaner. You can get it like Sam's Club. Comes in a squirt bottle. Squirt that on, let it set for a little bit, and just hose it off. Just don't get it on your hands. You won't like that.
Yeah, the acids.
Yeah, that's kind of what I have. It's I don't know, it's like some orange liquid and it's in a spray bottle and you just squirt it on and let it sit there for a while.
The orange citrus stuff.
No, it's not citrus.
Yeah, I had 2 brand new ones that people sent me, and one was just looking like, holy cow. So I just took a brand new one out, stuck it in there, and I was like, I'll clean that one later. It's kind of like battle wounds, though. It kind of like brings you back. I remember that project. I remember that struggle.
Yeah, LA Awesome is what I was trying to think of. Nancy put it in the chat. Have you ever used LA Awesome?
No.
It's pretty. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. It's pretty popular, like in Facebook laser groups, is like the go-to.
Yeah, I may not be able to get it here. I live in the backwoods, right? So, maybe not quite as far back in the woods as Kentucky, but.
Oh man.
I mean, at least I only live like 15 minutes from an international airport, so it's not so bad. But
it's interesting where I live. I am like an hour. I'm within an hour of like 5 decent size airports, but none of them are like massive.
Nancy, is this awesome? The stuff from Dollar General. It's like a neon yellowish looking color.
Yep, it is.
My mom.
Yep.
I have an old porcelain tub. My mom lived with me for a little while because she sold the house, moved to another one. She's like, I bought this great stuff. It works awesome. And guess what she did? She took the gloss off the glaze. She ruined my tub. It's matte now. I was like, you just poured acid. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how old that tub is. That thing is like old, you know what I mean? But my wife likes
to get it resurfaced. If it's like a clawfoot or something like original, you can get it
it is. Yeah,
you can get it redone.
Yeah, just sucks. It was nothing wrong with it. It looked like brand spanking new. Now it looks like matte.
So Andy, where in Kentucky do you live? The only place I know in Kentucky that I've actually been is Lexington.
Yeah, I'm about an hour and 15 minutes from Lexington. So, but I'm about 45 minutes from where they run the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, nice.
I did see a lot of horse
meet up, I guess we're
Kentucky.
meeting at your place, is what you're saying.
What's that?
If we ever all meet up, I guess we're meeting at your place, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the bourbon capital of the world. Jim Beam is about 10 miles from me.
Are you allowed to drink it? Because isn't it like you're not allowed to where they make the stuff they can't drink it? Is that the?
No, you can still drink. You can drink it. But yeah, there's bourbon distilleries all around, and yeah. So bourbon, horses.
I did see a lot of horses when I was in Lexington.
Yeah, there's a lot of horses. There's a lot of money in Lexington when it comes to horses. And
the thing that impressed me was when we punched through the clouds to land at the airport, it was incredibly green.
Yeah.
Like just unbelievable. It was like I've never seen so much green in my life.
Vince Nobuck says, "Does that Thunder have a glass or RF tube?" And I think you already answered that. The RF, the glass. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they do have both, but that one's is a
right. It
glass
says
tube.
if it's glass, you don't want to run at 100 power. Slow down, reduce the power. Tube will last a lot longer that way.
So the interesting thing is when I got this, Thunder offer like they do like an hour or like a half an hour like setup, and I was like, man, I'm gonna do it just to talk to the guy, and he said that they spec these 100% isn't 100%. Like they take that filter. Yeah, they take so you. Because I asked him that question, I said, "Can I run this at 100%, or am I better off running at 90, like max?" And he said, "No." He said, "This tube is rated for like 110 or 115, and but we call it 100, and so you run it at 100%. You're getting 100 watts, but it's not at the max capacity of that tube."
I almost feel like shamed, like. How are you going to tell me this thing has 100 watts power, but I can't use 100 watts power? Like, come on, man. It's 100 watts power. I'm going to use 100 watts. If it's 100 watts, I'm going to use it. Like,
you didn't I have, like on my own laser that I designed, I run it at 100%, but 100% is about 95% of the maximum current, of the maximum operating current, not the maximum current. So 100% for me is about 95%.
Yeah, similar here.
Corp said he worked at the Kentucky truck plant for 2 months.
Probably a Ford plant in Louisville, Kentucky. Be my guess. Yeah. So that's the closest big city to me is Louisville, Kentucky. So.
Tobacco fields? Do you have tobacco fields by you?
Yes, but they're kind of an old thing. There's not as many of them around as there once was, but yes.
Deborah said she soaks hers in vinegar 15 minutes, rinses, then dries. My mom used to do that with cleaning windows.
My wife still does that.
Says Nancy said, "I'm going to try those. Does suggest Steve. Let's see how it goes." Okay. Yes, sir.
Well, let me know if you can shoot me an email if you struggle. But
very cool. We got 3 minutes left in the live. Remember, November 20th. If you're not already subscribed to us, make sure that you are. And as was mentioned earlier in the live, if you don't hit that bell, you don't get a notification that we're gone live. So if you plan to win a laser, I want to make sure you don't miss our live. Make sure you do hit that bell, because just because you subscribe doesn't mean it's not going to notify you that we're live.
Yeah, and just come to every live stream between now and then, just in case we do it early. 3 minutes left. We've been here for 2 hours. You didn't hear the chihuahua in the back barking at all. So
you have a chihuahua?
Yeah, right there in the bed. There's actually there's my other one is down on the floor here. I have to dog sit because my wife is in Europe this week. So
nice. You have an English Mastiff and a Chihuahua.
Wow, that's quite a combination.
Yeah, but I think being Mexican, you just automatically have a Chihuahua. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's just like,
well, I'm Mexican.
You're bored, and they're like, "Here's your Chihuahua." You're like, "Okay."
you can tell by my tan, I'm Mexican. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So have you trained it to say "Yo quiero Taco Bell"?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yo quiero Taco Bell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to actually have those stuffed animals.
Now, at this time of night, somebody could storm through the middle of the house and they're not going to bark because, after they eat, they sleep till morning, till they get to eat again.
So generally, I work pretty late sometimes in the wood shop after work, right? I try to go to bed by 12:30. And sometimes Friday or Saturday, I might work till 3, 4 in the morning, right? And I'll get hungry. So I used to wake my daughter up. Do you want to go to Taco Bell? Yes. Right? And my wife was like, "You can't wake her up and take her to Taco Bell," because she was little. Here we are.
I am shocked that you'd go to Taco Bell. Nobody of like actual Hispanic descent, Latino descent should go to Taco Bell ever.
I love Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell. You know,
Oh,
people
it's
tell me all
awful.
the time. I have a friend of mine. He's white, and he's like, "Let's go to Chipotle." I'm like, "No, dude." He's like, "How the hell do you not like Chipotle but you eat a Taco Bell?" I said, "Because to me, Taco Bell is not Mexican food. It's like fast food. I want a fast taco. If you try and eat Chipotle, it's like you're trying to eat real Mexican food. Then let's just go to real Mexican food. Then
Well, that's
you
what
know?
I'm shocked that you just don't like get incensed by anything that pretends to be Mexican food.
Well,
Like
Taco
Taco
Bell's
Bell
open
is
at
there's
3:30 in the
nothing
morning, and that's
Mexican about it.
yeah.
It's awful.
Taco Bell's at 3:30 in the morning, and that's normally when about I'm going. You know, there's not very many choices that time. You know, unless White Castles. Have you ever had White Castles, Steve?
Yes, we don't have them here, but I've had them traveling in the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah, we call
Back
them.
in my young drinking days, fortunately, there's none around us where we're at here. We're too far east, but
Yeah, it's more of a West Coast thing, right?
Well, they used to
up
be
around
everywhere in
Chicago.
Illinois. Yeah, they used to be everywhere, and they slowly start closing off. But
Yeah, we have one here in our town.
yeah,
I don't go to it, but
I call them smell you laters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But if you do ask for no onions, they still cook them on the same grill that had onions, so it still has a flavor, but it tends not to have the bad after effects as much with no onion.
So what's worse? What's worse? Is it Taco Bell or White Castle?
Oh, White Castle.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of either. Yeah.
Yeah, especially White Castle after effects. If you've been drinking beer all night, then you go to White Castle, and if you've got a significant other with you, they're going to throw your ass out of the bedroom.
Yeah, I remember when I would go hang out with the older guys from my neighborhood, I'd come back smelling like old style beer and White Castles. My wife's like, "I already know where you were." At least you know I wasn't out with chicks.
Man.
Looks like we're at time. Enjoyed the live today. Again, I think, Andy, you said it well the other day, that if you had to picture what our live was, it's like 4 guys sitting in the garage drinking some beers, right? And we got criticized a couple times. Steve and I actually got some criticism. It said, you guys need to write a script. And just want to remind everyone that either you can come in just to hang out. You know, we used to say Happy Hump Day, and we change it from Fridays to Wednesdays for that actual reason, you know, just to kind of shoot the shit, talk laser, talk CNC, talk 3D printers, because at the end of the day, I'm sure your significant other is done hearing about it, right? If you don't have someone who's in the business with you, or you don't have very many friends that have interests. So it's nice. Maybe you don't have a question. You just want to listen and learn, or you want to be like the clack who's just working and listen to us in the background. So yeah, thank you guys.
And then chimes in when we say anything bad about him.
Corp,
It's only you.
Yeah.
Only you say bad things about Clack.
Corp, we have White Castles, but grenades.
Clack is a friend of the channel.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that, you know, thank you guys for joining. Appreciate all the comments. It's nice to see new faces coming along, and it's cool to see the same people coming back and back. And what's really interesting as our channels are growing is that we're not a United States or a Canadian-based channel. We're really becoming a global audience. Australia is really, really growing, and UK, a lot of people from UK. So it's crazy. So thank you guys. That was my closeout. Didn't mean to.
You couldn't afford the taxes here if we were Canadian-based.
If we were Canadian-based, we'd make more. You have a higher payout than us.
So our basic tax rate is a little higher, a couple % higher. But
no, I mean,
we don't
YouTube.
pay for things like healthcare, right? Like it's.
No, I mean the YouTube payout. The aggregate, they pay you more.
Yeah, well, yes. The what is it? CPM,
RPM.
RPM revenue.
RPM is what we get paid. Yeah.
Yeah, Canada's second highest in the world. Actually, I think Australia or New Zealand or something's higher.
All right.
So
So every time someone watches a video of mine, I make $1 million. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that's why he lives on the beach. Look at this.
If that was the case, we're all moving to Canada.
Well, I think we're gonna have to set up a VPN.
There you go.
Based on your politics down there, you might have to move here anyway.
Oh man.
We're going to build a wall, and you guys are going to pay for it.
That sounds familiar. I think someone tried to do that before.
Yeah, I don't think what they don't understand is that You can build a wall. Mexicans build tunnels. And the wall doesn't go all the way across. You could just walk past the wall and walk around. I thought that was so hilarious. They were showing that in Texas. We built this construction wall. I'm gonna walk 12 more feet and just walk around this side.
Yeah. If you're out on the West Coast, you go out about 50 feet into the ocean and go around the end.
Drive around.
And, you go from Tijuana to San Diego, and you got a little wet, but
but you made it.
yeah, it takes 10 minutes.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
Anything on the closeout?
Okay, well, we'll see you all next week.
Hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. I just looked
You'll
up
be
the
in.
price.
Oh no, you won't be in Mexico yet.
I just looked up the
Another,
price.
another week.
I looked up
What'd
the
you
price
look up before we cut out?
of an OEM laser tube, 100-watt laser tube from Thunder, $900.
Huh.
Yeah, so
You might want to look at an aftermarket one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm going to.
yep, check the aftermarket.
So the tube in my laser's cloud ray.
Okay.
And I actually ended up with 2 of them because UPS lost the first one. So they sent me another one. And then the day I received that one, I received the other one.
Nice.
Two
And
for
All right,
one.
it's
Thank
just
you.
too expensive to send it back, right? So, all right.
Right.
Take care, guys. See ya.
God bless, Summer. Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
Yep, bye. Good one, Steve.